Hello, I'm Fire Scratch.
And this is Spock Dinosaur.
Welcome back, guys. This is part 4 of the jump scare tutorial. This is a different one, don't be worried. This is about flashing an image on the screen instead of audio and sound like we've been doing last time. So we start by getting our image. So you can do many of the things by creating your own, which is fine, creating your own art style. We found one off of Pixabay.com. It's for free stock photos. There's a lot of our homepage cover art went from there, and you can just type in a lot of stuff, which is very easy to find.
We'll put a link in the description.
Yeah, of course. So we'll show you, you just have to download the image, and whatever your computer you do, it'll download to your download screen, and all you have to do is drag it to your desktop.
Now, it's important for you to have the image saved as a PNG. The images you generally get from free websites like Pixabay are going to be JPEGs. It's pretty easy to change them. For Windows, you can use your Paint program, which is for free. For Mac, we're going to show you how to use Preview, how to modify it and to save it. We suggest that you download the free image modification software GIMP. It allows you a lot of options. It's basically Photoshop for free. It's maybe not 100% bugless the way that Photoshop can be, but it's still definitely worth it if you don't feel like shelling out a lot of money.
And it's very easy to practice with after you get what you're knowing. Like any elementary school type of paint programs you were in, and I remember that from years ago, it definitely can be applied there, and then you can figure out a few things, look at some tutorials, apply your own work, cut out your own images, paste, and stuff like that. Just get you used to digital programming as well as art design.
Now, the image we're going to be using today is going to be this one on the desktop, which is going to be the skull. It's a spooky skull.
Of course.
So in this case, we're using a Macintosh, so it opens up with Preview. You could just as easily open this image with Paint if you're on Windows, or GIMP on either system. Now, with Paint, once you have it open, you'd modify it to your heart's content. A lot of people don't know this. There isn't Paint on Macintosh anymore. However, if you go over to this little toolbox right here, you actually can modify it very similar to a Paint program. It's not quite as good, but it's not bad either. Now, once you actually have your image the way that you want it, you're going to take your Paint, and you're going to either go to a Save As, or in the case of Preview, Export. It'll bring up whatever you want to call it, where you want to save it to, and you want to make sure that you have the format as, right here, PNG. Ours started off as a JPEG, we saved it as a PNG. This is just a copy.
Right. So this is not only applied for helpful hint for future people in college or whatnot. This can also export option for Mac can be used for documents and pages and stuff if you don't have Word on there. For my Mac, I only get Pages for free, and to get stuff uploaded where it's friendly for every user, you docx rich is that same thing. File export as a docx or a PDF, and it's really easy and simple to do that. Fortunately.
Indeed. Now we're just going to close this image for now, but you would have saved it as a PNG if it was a JPEG originally. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our game here. And what you want to do is go up to the game option right here. You want to open up your folder. Now, this will open up the folder location that your game is actually being used for. In our case, it's in Documents, and it's 16-bit gaming. You then want to go to the Images folder, and then you want to go to Pictures. Now, you see here we already have a copy of our PNG skull right here. Now, for the purpose of you, you'd want to take your image that you saved as a PNG from the desktop and drag it over into this Pictures folder. Once you have it there, you can use it inside of your game. Now we're just going to close this real quick, and now we're going to show you what we're actually going to do with it. So, here we have, from the last tutorial, our spooky, scary ghost man. He's going to run at you, he's going to kill you, and he's going to put you in the game over screen if you don't get out of his way.
It's the same exact thing as he did last time, running, screaming, and game over thing. However, in between the movement and the screaming and the game over screen, we'll insert the picture so it jump scares a visual as well as audio, and then it can cut into your death scene. So it's just another little add-in we can do to add for more of a jump scare effect, or whatever you prefer to do.
Now, we could add these effects here in the spooky control. Put it probably right after the roar, maybe before the scream, or right after the scream. In this case, though, we're actually going to put it inside of our spooky, scary creature. Now, what we're going to do is, before the game over, we're going to add a new event. This event's going to be on the second tab. We're going to go down to Show Picture. We just keep this as number 1 for now. We're going to go to our images.
It's already there for us, so we don't have to go finding around for it again.
Exactly. This is our spooky skull. Now, it's a relatively large image. We could save a smaller one if we want to, but we also have the option of where we want the origin to be placed. This is basically from where the image is going to be shown. In this case, we're going to go for center instead of upper left. That way it will start at the middle where the skull actually is.
And you can toy with this later. Getting used to GIMP or Paint, you can get used to sizing and scaling a lot of images and stuff like that yourself. And for the X and Y, that's also a typical type of game design and programming thing on axes. It's not 3D, so you don't have to worry about any Z or W. There's even a W axis, which is completely crazy and weird.
Fourth dimensional.
Yeah, that's the people that do it for years don't even understand that. But besides that, X and Y are just the old-fashioned cross plus grid style. So just up and down, you can take a look and toy with it. There's no problem there.
Yeah. As well as you also have the option to scale the image to be smaller or larger, which doesn't actually change the image inside your folder, just the instance of the image you're using for this particular event. And you can also change the opacity, which is how transparent it is. 255 means it's a solid image. If you make it smaller than that, it'll be partially translucent. This can be useful if you're trying to put fog over an area or something. You want to have it only partially visible.
Or there's an option, potentially an option where you can make the image actually invisible. If you are looking around, like say out of a window, and you see a scenery up, close, and the image could be hidden beneath that actual imagery, and then when you look at it a second time, you can trigger it to come popping out, and you can change the opacity in the code to be vibrant, so you can actually see it and happen as a jump scare.
There's also an option for a blend mode, which just sort of changes how the nature of the image is on top of your screen. You have to play around with the different images and what these actually do to make it look. For now, we're just going to leave it blank. So we hit OK, and we now have this image show up. Now, we're going to show you exactly what happens, but it's not going to work exactly the way we want it to.
Spoiler. Always save, of course.
Yes, and make sure the sound is turned off in this case. You don't need to hear the screaming guy this time. I'm going to run over here. Roar! Oh no! Oh!
Ooh,
But wait a minute, something went wrong. Oh no, what happened?
Image got stunted.
It did. So, what could possibly have happened? Well, there's a couple issues here. First off, and probably somewhat importantly here, we have the image shown, but we don't have any moment to wait. This is an important thing to have in a lot of your events, especially ones where you want to have things more and more controlled.
Timing and settings to go off, just like anything else. You want to have it nicely, tightly wound up, and it runs smoothly, like any type of game or puzzle piece of any sort of material in it.
Now, in this case, we're creating a new event command. We're going to the second page, and we're going to use the wait command. This will allow us to choose how many frames, 60 frames equals 1 second, we want to have the image basically stuck on front of the screen. So we're going to choose 60 here. I'm going to try again, save the project.
And of course, you can toy around to see like how many times you want to be long, you want to be indefinitely long, super short, even subliminally short, so you have to have pauses screen.
Exactly. Oh! Now we can see here that the image is not showing up exactly the way we want it to, which is to be expected. You're going to have to play around with exactly how you want the origin to show up due to the size of the image itself. Remember, you can always go into the image and either double-click it or click it with the right mouse button to edit all of your instances of being saved. Now, for this one, we're just going to go ahead and set it to the upper left for now. Due to the size of the image, we could play around with exactly what the direct designation is, which is where it's going to be roughly in space. For now, we're just going to leave it that way. Now, one issue that we have here is that, now this isn't a problem for this particular one because it immediately goes to the game over screen, but for later on, if we were to, say, have an image get shown from the spooky controller over here, the image itself wouldn't just go away. It doesn't just go away after the wait time. In fact, it stays there, which means that you have to have, under second here, you have to have an erase picture for every picture that you show.
Otherwise, you'll be staring at a glitched game for hours and you have to never progress if that doesn't happen. We can't just get rid of the picture.
Basically. Now, this isn't a problem if you're using some kind of partially translucent mist that you want to have stay on the screen, but in this case, that's not what we want.
Yeah, it's not like a leveled design or water design. It's just a jump scare that we want to come and go as we please.
Exactly. Now, the number here is tied directly to the picture number that we have up here. Show picture number 1. Erase picture number 1.
And of course, you can name them later so you can remember, like, it was Red Skull versus, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, and no one remembers. Numbers, unless you're a computer itself, it's easier just to name the things. If you have, like, 100 pictures and going through, definitely good description titles.
Now, we added another weight there just to really have you sink into the idea that it's both there, then gone, then the game over is entirely separate. The game over normally will, of course, erase any images that were on the screen previously. So we're doing this just to really show it in its full. Roar! Oh no! Oh, scary image! And it's gone, and then game over.
And now you can see that it was a flash and then gone and then game over. So it wasn't a smooth transition of the skull was there and then game over. That's just because of how long the frame per frame seconds the photo was lasting. So if you just upped it to like 2 frames or 2 or 3 frames, it would be just a smooth transition. There's no worry about that.
Exactly. And if you decide you wanted to have it on for several seconds, you could have up to 120 frames or 180 frames, etc., etc.
Whatever you want to toy with, to your heart's content.
Now in this case, we're going to go ahead and delete this. We don't need it anymore. Now let's say we wanted to have the spooky image up here for a longer period of time. As I said, 120. That gives you 2 seconds worth. But for now, that's all we need to know about these kind of pictures.
Yes, so this is like only 4 parts of the jump scare. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it as much as we do. I like the jump scares. It's more than that. It's a more fun and mechanical process as well as engaging. We might do more of it next time with different types of images. We'll figure out what we're doing. Next week will be a 2-part final of our project here. So look forward to that one. And this time I'm Fire Scratch.
And this is Baka Dinosaur.
See you guys next time.
See ya.